What's up, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you a little defense and a little trap out of the Scholar's Mate. The Scholar's Mate, also known as the 4-move checkmate, is often used in beginner play, and it is one of the quickest checkmates known. The basic principle, I'll just run through usually what it looks like, playing random moves for black. So it looks like e4, and just remember all these moves for black are random. And then in 4 moves, black has checkmate on the f7 square. Now, as you know, the f7 square for black is the weakest square at the beginning of the game because it's only defended by the king, and so this is used to take advantage of that. However, there's a defense that is pretty good defense and will stop white from doing it and give black a pretty good game if white keeps insisting. So, the normal opening that you'll see is e4, e5, and after queen to h5, there is an attack on this uh, e5 square. Now the best move in this situation is going to be knight to c6, defending the square. Now d6 is also played, however it is not as strong, and knight to f6 is also played, however it is not as strong either because queen can come and capture this pawn. The two worst moves in the situation. One, I just like to point out because I think it's pretty funny. If you play your king to e7, then queen can come and take, and that's actually checkmate. I just wanted to put that in because I thought it was pretty funny. But also a common misconception. People sometimes play the move g6. They see the queen and they want it out of there. However, this is not a good move because this pawn on e5 is not protected. So if queen takes, this is check, and after blocking, you're going to lose a rook. So you must play, in order to get a trap and also the best game, knight c6. Knight c6. d6 also works okay, but this is definitely the strongest move. Now after white plays bishop c4, they're threatening queen takes pawn checkmate. Now another thing people do is to play knight to f6, thinking they're going to kick the queen out. However, the queen can just move around, and that would also be checkmate. So the best move in this situation is now being able to play g6. Obviously now the queen can't capture this pawn, or else it would be captured by our knight. After this, black usually will not give up, and they will play queen to f3. This is again threatening checkmate on f7. Now, there are a couple ways to defend, but the best one, most proven one, is knight f3, not only developing a piece, but also stopping checkmate, and if white decides to move its queen out of protection of this e4 pawn, the e4 pawn will be lost. And obviously the queen can't bring their pawn back here due to threats from the pawn and the knight. So now sometimes white will decide to play queen to b3, still persisting and attacking this f7 square. This is threatening bishop takes pawn on f7. Now this would not be mate, but not only would black lose a pawn, they would also lose their right to castle. So in this situation, we're not actually going to do anything about this threat. This is where a small trap comes in. Because after knight to d4, the trap is set. Now the best move in this situation is probably for white's queen to get out of the way. However, if bishop takes pawn, of course we can't take our queen just yet, because it is check. King is forced to play to e7. But now after e7, white's queen has to defend this bishop. And not only does it have to defend this bishop, but this knight on d4 is also threatening to capture the pawn on c2, check, winning the rook. So in this position, white will almost always play queen to c4, defending this bishop and also defending the threat of winning the rook for black. However, now black has a very good move, and this is going to be simply b5. And now white has no way to defend this bishop. It can't stay anywhere along this diagonal without fear of capture, and so this bishop will be lost. However, if they're really not careful, let's say they play something like queen b4, this would be probably their worst move, as knight take. Actually, this would be check. But if king takes and they play a random move, knight takes, forking king and queen. So usually black will play somewhere like c3, in which case black can win the bishop and even try something if they would like, as I'm just going to play a series of random moves here. Actually, maybe develop a bishop, and then as more random moves are played, they can sort of even try to create sort of a castle look out of that. So that's how to defend the Scholar's Mate, and now I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to be showing you the first part of the game that I played and how someone tried to checkmate me out of the Scholar's Mate, and show you what I did and a nice little trap that I employed. Okay, so this is the game that I played against someone online. It started off with e4, e5. Instead of bringing the queen out, they first decided to bring the bishop out. Now I played knight to c6, possibly anticipating the queen coming out, also being prepared for knight to f3, which would be the Italian game. In this position, my opponent played queen f3, and this is threatening checkmate, so I decided to play knight to f6. And in this position, my opponent captured the pawn with his bishop on f7, which is a fairly common occurrence. After king takes bishop, there's queen to b3 check. So basically, white sacrificed a bishop and got a pawn, an uncastable king for black, and also a continued attack, or so they hope, to try and expose black's king. So I played king to e8, after which my opponent played d3, while looking to bring his dark squared bishop into the game and to expose this pin on the knight on f6. However, I wasn't ready to let that happen, as I decided to play knight to d4. Now this is a very nice spot for a knight, an outpost, as it's protected by this pawn on e5. Now the queen doesn't have very many good options, as it needs to stay protected, or protecting this c2 square. Well, my opponent played queen to c3, and this was a blunder. So I'll give you a second and see if you can find the best move for black in this situation. I played bishop to b4, and in this position, white is lost. As you can see, black is pinning the queen to the king. The queen only has two legal moves, queen to d2 or queen captures bishop. Now if queen to b2, then bishop takes queen. And if queen takes bishop, then we have knight takes pawn on c2, check, and after king moves, let's say to d1, we have knight takes queen, winning for black. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is really just to show a quick tutorial on how to stop the Scholar's Mate, how to defend against it, and how to really exploit it. And not only is this a trap that I performed, a thing that you should look for in the Scholar's Mate, but also just a tactics lesson in general, as You should always be looking for good spots for your knights, pins by bishops, and queens and rooks, and really looking to win the game. And I hope you guys enjoyed, hope you guys learned, and I'll see you guys next time.